Hey guys, Joel's coming at you with another reasoning session. Today I'm going to be talking about one of the analogies of what it's like when we actually put our faith into action.
Come now and let us reason together. Come now, we can talk it over.
Before I begin, I just gotta say, some of you guys that are regulars already heard me mention this, but YouTube is just playing games with the algorithms and the subscriber count and even the view count. But if you really like these videos, you can also check me on Rumble or on Zappit. The links are in the description. The thing is, I don't know what the future of this channel is going to be, but the future of this message is sure. I'm continuing, and the light is going to shine for those of us that are ready to receive it. But with that out of the way, I'm just going to jump right into it. Today's passage is one of the parables of Jesus, and where he actually talks about what it's like when you actually implement these words. And you know, I mentioned in one of my previous videos what the Apostle James, the half-brother of Jesus, actually said about this same subject. He said, "Be doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves." And that's just what it's like when we say that we are actually doing the things that are necessary, but we're not. We're just hearing them, and we're making our own minds feel good about it, but we're actually not doing the work necessary to get us there. And so we just continue on in the same cycle of wishing and feeling and trying to manifest, but not actually manifesting anything solid. And so in the Evangelion of Matthew, Jesus expounds on this very concept. He says, "Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him, or I will compare him, unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock." And that's the house, the manifestations, the scenarios that we're building. That's the house that we're building in this physical life experience. And that rock is symbolic of the sure foundation of that living logos. "And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock." And we see that this also has metaphorical meaning. The rain and the floods and the winds, those are the circumstances that look like, this building isn't going to stand. What you're trying to create is an absolute impossibility. And when all the forces of your surroundings and your environment come against it and literally try and beat it down, but you're still firm because you've built that vision on that solid foundation. "But everyone that hears these sayings of mine and does them not shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house upon the sand." And the sand also is earth, but it's shifting, it's moving, and it's not stable. That's the difference. You're building it on basically whatever comes. Que sera, sera. You're really a fair weather friend or fair weather manifester, but that's just it. Because when the storm comes, what happens? It says, "And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it." And the rain and the floods, of course, those are water, and that symbolizes the emotional realm. The rain that falls from the skies is like the inspiration. When you get an emotion that just comes out of the blue that contradicts your manifestation. And the floods is when other people's emotions just come in and just try and sweep your vision away. And the winds, of course, represent thoughts that come in and contradict that vision. And they literally beat against us. And it's not the physical circumstances that do the most damage because we're trying to manifest through those physical circumstances. It's the thoughts. It's the battle in our own mind that is the storm. Because we set that vision, it's in our souls. It's in that mind's eye. But all the thoughts and all the emotions that come against it sabotage us from carrying out that vision. We end up buying in and saying, "Oh, this will never work," or, maybe I was misled, or maybe I should take this other path that looks a bit easier and more likely. But when we're swayed by the storm and the circumstances, that's when the house falls, and it even says that great is the fall thereof.
First, I tried to build it over there on that hill, but that was as hard as a rock. Probably because that is a rock, dum-dum. That's very good. No, look at his sock.
And And another example of this very same principle is found in the same Evangelion of Matthew in the 14th chapter, where we all know the story of Jesus walking on the water. And again, that water symbolizes the emotional realm, and literally how Jesus is able to conquer that realm and literally subjugate it to himself and just walk right on top of what seems to be not solid. And I'm just going to go ahead and read straight from the text. And straightway Jesus constrained his disciples to get into a ship and to go before him unto the other side, while he sent the multitudes away. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. And in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went unto them, walking on the sea. This is the most magical time of the night, guys, from the 10th to the 12th night hour, meaning from about 3 a.m. to sunrise. This is when, like, if you go through the scriptures, like, the most amazing things happen, this being one of them. But just every night, this is the window when the veil between the worlds is the thinnest, and we can accomplish much during this time. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, It is a spirit, and they cried out for fear. But straightway Jesus spoke unto them, saying, Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid. And Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it be you, bid me come unto you on the water. And he said, Come. And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. So it's not just Jesus walking on the water. Now Peter has that same authority, that same power in him, and he's acting on it. But when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried, saying, Lord, save me. So once he looked at those physical circumstances, the wind, the waves, and the water moving all about underneath his feet, he lost that anchor in his hope. And because that got in his consciousness, he had no choice but to live out as if that system was more real than the faith in his own soul. And immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand and caught him and said unto him, O you of little faith, wherefore did you doubt? And when they were come into the ship, the wind ceased. Meaning that those contrary thoughts stop once your manifestation becomes a reality. So we see that even though Peter doubted, Jesus was still right there to pick him right back up and bring him to the ship, which means, they both walked to the ship. It wasn't like Jesus walked the rest of the way and Peter had to swim. No, Jesus actually brought him back to that state of awareness and literally forgave him. Not that he did anything wrong, except that his own faith was not in the place where it should be. And that's the forgiveness, when we realize that we can do better and we deserve better. And that's the whole point of this. We have come to this life at this time because we deserve the life that we know is in us to manifest. We're not here to live mediocre lives or manipulated lives or lives in lockdown. We are here to manifest our lives and to actually bring Source's kingdom, the kingdom of heaven, into this realm and actually be the vessels through which that energy, that state of being for this whole world comes into fruition. We are agents in place for the kingdom of heaven, set in position for such a time as this. So let's step up and really embody that dream life that Source has planned for us from even the time before we were born. So I love you guys. I'll check you in the next reasoning sesh. Joel signing out once again. Agape, Salaam, Namaste, Shalom. Be not afraid. And